Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to have a look at Atom and just a quick overview of the market and what we're expecting today and going into next week, which I don't think is particularly bad. I think Bitcoin and traditional markets are going to have a bit of a sideways movement for the next few weeks, which would allow some altcoins with decent charts to continue moving. So first of all, obviously Bitcoin dominance still not quite tagged at 40%, but the closer we get to it, the more risk you're looking to take on really with any kind of altcoin position, as I do expect altcoins to get completely wrecked when they do reach that 40% dominance. I think Ethereum is propping things up at the moment. Everybody's getting excited about the merge. It's one of those events which for me is like, a bit of a non-event really. It's like, who knows what the hell's going to happen when the merge takes place, but we'll see. When it comes to traditional markets, we broke outside of the descending triangle. We've got a pump signal on the daily here for Nasdaq, and when you get a pump signal, it doesn't mean it pumps straight away. This is on a daily, so I would leave it up to as much as 2 weeks for something like this to play out. And when you get a pump signal, you really want to be taking on you want to be buying at a support anyway. Best support is on its way right now. You've got your center of the Bollinger Band and your 21 exponential moving average and the trend line of this descending triangle, which we broke out from, all approaching roughly around 13,100. So if you were going to buy into the Nasdaq on the basis of this signal itself, that would probably be the area to try it from. It doesn't have to work, but if you were to do it, you've got a pump signal, you're coming down to a reasonable support, you're still outside of the descending triangle, and so you'd be looking for a move from there, so give or take 13,100. Obviously this is Sunday, Nasdaq's closed, we'll be looking for more tomorrow to see how this works, and I think that's a reasonable thing to expect really. I'm not in any stocks or any indices or anything like that. The reason for it is that I bought at the bottom, sold around this level before the FOMC meeting, and then sold the rest at the descending triangle. That was the rule. Bagged that profit, and I'm happy to get back into stocks at a later date. But that was the call, and that was the plan, and plan fulfilled. It's called the everything bounce, if you remember me talking about it. So yeah, we'll see how this works. I'm not looking to get involved in it myself, but it doesn't show complete doom and disaster for traditional markets at this very moment in time. In fact, if anything, it shows an opportunity emerge. So let's transfer that to Bitcoin. Bitcoin basically from this intermediate level, which on the 4 hourly you can see the relevance to it. So dancing around here, resistances, breakdown, resistance, support, and that's where we managed to gain support here. 1, 2, 3 4 hourly candles in a row. So it seems okay to want to move up, and if we were to move up on this one, there's 2 areas to focus on. First of all is the horizontal area, 21,600. That's where it was range bound. Basically, you can see range bound from resistances, and then we finally managed to get above it. But given the death cross and everything involved, moving average is going to play an important role. First one is probably going to be approached by the time you've watched this video. 21,350. I think that's most likely going to get broken. So we are looking for the next, I suppose, resistance of significance at 21,660. 660, or the 21 exponential moving average, which is just above 21,800, and this is all on a 4 hourly, so that'll be lower and lower as each 4 hourly candle merges. So yeah, we've got price action consistent with momentum here, and in fact, you could class this as bullish divergence on the daily, as basically double bottomed, but had a much higher high on money flow index and RSI. So I think there is room for this to move up for the rest of the day, but as it is Sunday, I always expect to sell off on a Sunday. I just expect that really, especially because we want to see traditional markets moving. The correlation is too high to want to trade crypto really over the weekend. It used to be good, bull market, everything was good, you could trade it over the weekend, but in a bear market, nah, it's not really for me. Not really for me. But it doesn't look particularly bad, but just be prepared for sell-offs moving into the end of today's trading session, right? So we're supposed to be talking about Atom, so let's look at it on this Bitcoin pair, which I actually really like still. So this is Bitcoin's, this is Atom to Bitcoin on the daily, where we see a consistent uptrend still formed, right? So we are above all major moving averages outside of the 200 simple moving average. We've got support once again on the daily 200 exponential, so this is good. This is a good setup. It's still relatively good in comparison to its position on the chart. The only drag is the bearish divergence that's continuing throughout, and the MACD basically not particularly interesting to look at. not giving us any sort of major idea of which way it wants to go. Also, the volume is really trickling off on this one as well. So normally it's not something I'd normally look at, but yeah, the volume is sort of fading away on this one. Still trading at quite a high amount of Bitcoin though on a 24-hour trading basis. I think the idea is that we are looking for a major break one way or another. Now, I took an Atom position the other day. I sold half at small profit. The rest of it's riding because I do believe in this one to actually play out and break out and make it up to our next major target, which is 6,200 sats, this range bound area where we had a big breakdown. So if we can get above the 200 simple moving average, which is where we've been rejected from 3 times in a row, again, we are what we're really looking at here is a descending triangle. So it is a bit of a bearish formation. It's a bit of a hopium kind of trade, but I'm willing to try it for what it's worth. I'm willing to give it a go for what it's worth, and I'll be looking for this to break. And if this area breaks, this 200 simple moving average on the daily breaks, it would pump it straight up to 25,000. So this isn't just based on dwindling momentum, dwindling volume, and a bearish formation. That would be madness. It's based upon 2 other things as well. Obviously, the Nasdaq showing that it could bounce, that strength could transfer, could recognise the words here, could transfer over to crypto as it usually does. We've got a pump signal that was generated around here, about 4,400 sats, 4,500 sats. That's about 15% away from the top, it's about 8% away from where we're at right now. You would expect a little more. So all we really do need to see is a break above here, and the volume should kick it back up to this level. So we've got a pump signal still in play, I would say, still in play on the Bitcoin pair. And if we move this over to the Tether pair, we also have a pump signal that was generated around these levels, around 11,600. Now we came down to the 50 simple moving average, which is where we've gained support here on the daily. If we look at the momentum on the daily, dwindling again, just like all the others. But if we move it to a 4-hourly, there's only one thing that we really need to see. We need to see break and closures above $10.75, which is basically a 200 exponential moving average. Breaking above there should have the power to again move back up to where it was rejected from, and it's a very obvious area of rejection here. It's pretty clear. $12.30. Once $12.30 has been smashed through, just like we saw on the Tether on the Bitcoin pair, there's really no resistance above us until we get to these levels. 28% with a potential 42% move up to these major moving averages on the daily. So, like I say, it's not as an obvious trade as the trades that we've been making while the market has been favourable, over this last 2 months really. Those setups were a lot clearer because the market suggested a certain upwards direction, whereas now we are sort of trying to trade in the face of general weakness. But you play the cards you dealt. You play the cards you dealt. Some of those trades that we did, the Matic trade was a really quick and easy 80% over about 6 days. The Jasmy trade gets pump signals where the market is generally okay, so we rinsed and repeated all of those pump signals. Those pump signals were exactly the ones that we're looking at now, apart from none of them were generated on a daily. So because of that, daily pump signals yield more than a 12-hourly, an 8-hourly, or a 4-hourly, like all those other trades that we were doing. This is one of the only charts that actually got one on the daily. And if it wasn't for Bitcoin sort of dumping, you would have expected this to have played out by now. But it hasn't. It hasn't quite yet. But I'm still hopeful for it. So all eyes on these very short-term time frame areas, and for Atom, as soon as it gets above and closes above $12.30, I would expect a much bigger move, up to around 15 to potentially $17.50, which is a big move, obviously, from where we're at right now. So again, Sunday's not really a trading day. If you're not in this position, it's up to you if you want to deal with it. Remember, you're trading against a weak market, generally speaking, on a daily and a weekly. It's only the very short-term time frames that offer some upside. I can see Bitcoin's just this moment actually started to go green and bust above that area that we were talking about. So it looks as though the fix on the market is reasonable, and so for the most part of today, you're probably going to see some upside, and that's fine. But I expect rejections around 21,800 at best. If we get there, which I think we probably will. 21 exponential on your 4-hourly is where we're probably going to get rejected. For whatever reason, if we do make it above there, we will be looking for a bearish retest of the 200 exponential, which is all the way up here at 23,000. And that could happen, but I wouldn't hold out for it. Not today. day. We'll see where the market takes us into next week. Again, buy signal, pump signal on the Nasdaq, coming down to a major area of support. The risk to reward is reasonable. Tight stop losses, obviously, because you don't want to be buying into, you don't want to be holding anything that completely plummets down. But as you can see, you could take an entry at this level, and it wouldn't take you long to realize that it's going to go against you, really. That is a major support. We've got a pump signal here. So it seems like a reasonable way to trade into next week, which is, probably some upside if the Nasdaq can hold this zone. So there you go. It's not all bad. It's not all bad. But remember, trading altcoins in this specific environment could be deadly, absolutely deadly. So just remember, this isn't a favorable market to be holding things for a prolonged period of time, but it's not completely devoid of opportunity. Right, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.